Soul. Hello everyone. Virginia Todd here and I welcome you back to this VOKK TV series to rediscovering and preserving the Khmer Krom identity. In this video, I want to discuss a shocking and tragic incident that unfolded on June 11, 2023 in Dat Lat province, the Central Highlands of Vietnam. The indigenous Montagnards, also known as the Daga peoples who have long lived on their ancestral lands, experienced a tragic event that shook us to the core. As a human rights activist advocating for nonviolence and adherence to international laws, I condemn the use of violence, particularly when it results in the loss of human life, as was shared through social media accounts concerning the incident on that fateful day. The Vietnamese government swiftly labeled the actions of a group of Montagnards involved in the incident as barbaric. However, they failed to address the underlying reasons that led these individuals to commit such acts, knowing the grave consequences they would face, including potential lifetime in prison or even death penalties. Instead, the government employed media channels that they control or influence to accuse Montagnard groups abroad of orchestrating the violence, fueling animosity between the ethnic Kin Vietnamese population and the Montagnards in the Central Highlands. While I do not possess the answers regarding the motivations behind this tragic event, it is essential to explore the root causes that may have contributed to this crisis. The Central Highlands, once an autonomous region during the French colonization of Indochina, underwent a transfer of the land to the South Vietnamese government and was subsequently assimilated into Vietnam after the North Vietnamese Communist forces conquered the South. Living under a one-party communist regime similar to the Khmer Krom in the Mekong Delta, the Montagnards have faced severe human rights violations and are denied recognition as indigenous peoples. The Vietnamese government implemented assimilation policies, encouraging ethnic Kin migration from the north to settle in the Central Highlands and the Mekong Delta. With support from the government and corrupt officials, these new settlers gained advantages, leading to the encroachment upon the lands of the Montagnards, mirroring the plight faced by the Khmer Krom in the Mekong Delta. Deprived of their rights as indigenous peoples, including the right to self-determination, the Montagnards, along with the Khmer Krom, the Cham, the Hmong, the Tai Dam, and other indigenous communities, endured discrimination and cultural assimilation. They witnessed the erosion of their languages, cultural identities, and the practice of their religions, all under the constant shadow of fear. When oppressed to the point where their tolerance runs dry, indigenous peoples will inevitably rise to defend their rights and reclaim their ancestral lands. The land holds profound significance for indigenous communities, embodying their livelihoods and cultural heritage. We must recognize this intrinsic bond and work towards securing the rights and freedoms of indigenous peoples. As a member of the Human Rights Council, it is incumbent upon Vietnam to break away from its assimilation and discrimination policies. The government must acknowledge the status of indigenous peoples, as many other nations have done worldwide. The practice of granting power to corporations or corrupt officials to seize indigenous lands must cease immediately. Indigenous communities should have the freedom to establish their independent religious organizations and openly teach and preserve their languages without undue monitoring or control of the curriculum. Indigenous peoples deserve representation in government without being manipulated as mere puppets used to oppress their own people. We can foster a society where all individuals can live freely and harmoniously through inclusive governance where indigenous voices are respected and heard. As Benjamin Franklin once said, in quote, "Justice will not be served until those who were unaffected are as outraged as those who are." Thus, we must address the incident that unfolded on June 11th as a major wake-up call. We cannot allow such tragic events to repeat themselves. Our moral duty is to demand justice, respect, and protection for the Indigenous peoples of Vietnam. By advocating for the rights of the Indigenous peoples, we can pave the way for a future where all individuals are treated with dignity and equality. So, Akon, Chom Thank you.